Welcome to the Crypto Commission podcast. Here are your hosts, Lambo Leo and the Bitcoin Broski.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 2 of the Crypto Commission podcast. I am your co-host, the Bitcoin Broski. Here with me is my co-host, Lambo Leo. Say what's up, Leo.
What's going on, guys? Happy to be here for episode 2.
And we today have the privilege of welcoming Mr. Scheze. Scheze, say what's up, man.
Hello, guys. Hello. Glad to be here.
We're fired up for this. As you guys know, we're eager to get some good content out, and we told you we were going to have some great guests coming up. Mr. Scheze is an awesome chartist, actually someone that I know Leo and I both respect very much. He has moved up quickly through the ranks in Bitcoin Bravado and is an analyst there, and is currently in the middle of turning 0.1 BTC into 1 Bitcoin through paper trading on BitMEX, of course. But we're really excited to welcome Scheze, and we've got some hard-hitting questions. We're really looking to put the screws to him and make him sweat. No, but we just want to have a good time, and hopefully this adds some value to you wherever you are in your crypto trading journey. So, Scheze, dude, one of the things that we love to kick this off with is just thinking back. If you could go back to that first day in crypto for you, what's the one piece of advice that you wish you'd been given?
The one piece of advice, let's see. Don't be an idiot. That'd be number one. Because I was an idiot, man. I didn't know anything. So for me, obviously, with my strong suit being looking at charts, reading charts, figuring out where prices wants to go, where it's going to go, would be to learn how to read a chart before doing anything else. I can't tell you how many groups I joined, paid subscription groups, whether it be on Discord or Telegram or whatever. And you get these guys, right? And they don't know how to read a chart. They're just getting a signal from somebody else, who's getting it from somebody else, and you're just paying that. So by the time you get a signal, is what they call them. You were, by the time you bought it, you were buying the top or selling the bottom. So it would be to not be an idiot and join those groups and just give away my hard-earned money, but to actually learn how to read a chart. And the way I've learned to read a chart is not free stuff found online. I did have to pay to learn. So that would be, the biggest thing for me is just learn how to read the charts, man.
So is there anyone that you'd care to shout out that maybe helped you on your educational journey there with reading charts? Absolutely.
So the first step in the right direction for me of getting back on track in cryptocurrencies was joining Bitcoin Bravado was the first step on the right path for me. And through there, met some guys in there, most particularly Dope Trades. He's on Twitter under that same handle. And he's got a course, and I bought that course and learned how to read it. And I've been modifying it to my own methods, and it's worked out great.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, I guess we all have to develop methods of our own as we go on this journey. And I
think that's really key. Is you get a lot of new guys here. They don't really know much, and they just hear someone say, "Okay, buy at this, sell at this," right? Buy at this, sell at this. But until you learn where your limits are as far as risk, how much risk you want to take on, where you're going to set stop losses, where you're going to do any of that, you've got to figure that out for yourself. Because listening to another guy it can make you money if the guy's good, but it can also get you wrecked. And even if it doesn't get you wrecked, the emotions that come into play when a trade's going south, you're just waiting on someone to say, okay, pull the trigger, get out, or calm down, hold on. But if you know how to read the chart, if you know what your risk limit is, then you rest a lot easier, right? You can go to bed and sleep well.
Absolutely. So with that being said, when did you get started? When did you enter the space?
Yeah, so Bitcoin, I heard about Bitcoin from a few guys in my life, as far back as probably 2013. And I just wrote it off as, the next .com boom, as everyone did. And it wasn't until my brother started talking to me about XRP of all coins.
Nice.
He came to me, he said, Matt, he said, there is this coin that you can buy online. And it's 25 cents. And, it's probably going to be, $10 one day. He said, so you should buy a lot. And this was in the last summer of 2017. And so I quickly called him an idiot and went on about my days. But then in November, he came to me and he said, hey, I've got this new coin. It's developed by Disney. They're their own company now. It's Dragon Chain, DRGN. He said they're doing their ICO. They're 6 cents a piece. Do you want to give me some money and go in on this with me? And again, I said, no, thank you. And I went my own way. And then Dragon Chain hit the market on, it wasn't IDEX. What was it back then?
Ether Delta?
Ether Delta. Yeah. It hit Ether Delta and it started at 26 cents, I think. And then it quickly went to 40 cents. And so I'd watch my brother had put in $2,000, and now he's sitting on $40,000. And so at this point, I'm like, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe there is that. Maybe there's money to be made. And so I bought it at 44 cents back in early December. And I actually didn't have to deal with Ether Delta. I've never been on the site myself, but my brother had a bag in his own Ether wallet, and so I just sent him cash. And, I let him actually hold my coins up until the point I was ready to sell them. But that was my big entry into the market. And it quickly became all consuming. I think because once you're in this space, man, there's news. I mean, there's no other market, I think, that can, a single tweet can either pump a price or dump a price so fast as cryptocurrency.
Absolutely. And do you have some experience in traditional markets as well?
Not before this. I do now. I do a ton of traditional trading markets now. But before crypto, I didn't. It wasn't until I got tired of losing money in crypto, this whole past winter and into the spring, and, early part of the summer here. And then I decided to learn how to read charts. And then I decided, okay, cryptocurrency is in a bit of a bear market right now. So there's still money to be made out here, but, I'm going to try my hand at some of these other traditional markets that have more liquidity. Because everybody in the world buys the NASDAQ or the S&P 500. Everybody trades that. So if I really want to test my skills at, reading charts and trading, then I think that's the place where I'll have more opportunity to hone in my skill. So that's where I do a ton of trading there now. And then a ton of paper trading, like you said, on BitMEX.
Well, that makes sense. So being new to the space and kind of how things evolved, what was your strategy when you first started, and how have things progressed? How have you evolved in the time since?
Absolutely. So before I was the lost child that needed someone to hold their hand and tell them what to do, when to buy, when to sell. So that was my entire philosophy for about 4 or 5 months. And it wasn't until, so I bought Dragon Chain at 44 cents, I think was my initial price. And I rode that thing all the way up to, I think the high was, high $4. I don't know if it hit $5 exactly, but rode it all the way up until that point. And then I rode the entire wave all the way back down because people were telling me, don't sell it. This thing's going to $20 by end of year. Yeah. I'm like, okay, if that's true, then it would be silly to sell at this point. And so I held it and I held it and I held it. I ended up selling it at about 88 cents. So I still got out, double what I put in. But then I immediately put that money into what was going to be the next greatest pump, which was Ethereum Classic, because they were doing a fork, right? And so I lost a ton of money there. Most of what I gained on Dragon Chain I lost on that move because I was buying the tops and selling the bottoms. And so at this point I'm down 72-75% on my initial investment. So unlike most of these guys who got in early, even in December, who made a ton of money in January and early February, unlike those guys, I was down on my initial investment. And so it's hard when you get, I'm a married man, and so having to tell my wife, we're actually down money, doesn't go over well. So
right.
It was at that point that, I decided, I need to quit letting someone else lead me by the hand and tell me what to do. I need to figure this stuff out for myself. And so that's what I've done. And I've seen, much better return on investment since then.
Yeah. the "Hey baby, we lost money" conversation is not an easy one to have, not a fun one to have. So
Not at all. Not at all, man.
well, with regards to trading and kind of the evolution there, have you seen a marked change in how you invest? I mean, do you look at things now as more a speculative play? Do you consider yourself an investor, a trader? Are you dealing with altcoins, focus only on Bitcoin? What's that look like for you?
Yeah. So for me, I started out as an investor, right? I invested in this startup by Disney, and I went in, made a lot of money, and then lost it all right back. And so for me, that the same switch at the time where I said, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this stuff by myself, was the same time I said, okay, I really don't care if in 20 years this stuff's $20 and today it's $1. Like for me, that's not as exciting for me as entering a trade at the lowest point and selling at pretty much the top. That is more thrilling to me than. And then everyone says they wish they would have bought Amazon back in the day, right? But those are investors, and for me, I don't consider myself in that category. Primarily a trader. As far as reading the charts, man, I used to open up TradingView and I didn't know what was what, man. There's so many indicators out there that people say they use, and if you get on crypto Twitter, then you see these charts with so many lines and collars and trends and fib levels and all this stuff, and then in that it actually hides for what for me is most importantly, and that's the actual candlesticks. That's the price. What did price actually do there? Don't give me indicators telling me what the price did. Just show me what the price did and let me analyze that myself. And so for me, getting rid of every single indicator off my chart, and okay, just looking at these bars, what are they telling me? So that's been huge for me in the education sense, and just figuring this stuff out.
Well, Leo and I have gotten to see firsthand your skills with the charts, and to know that you're doing it basically just off of support and resistance is impressive, considering there is a lot of other noise that's out there.
Absolutely.
One of the things we always like to dig into and get someone's mindset on, and you mentioned that right now you're trading and you're more concerned about buying as close to the bottom as you can, selling as close to the top as you can. But where do you see blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency assets? Where do you see that going in the next decade?
So next decade, I think it's going to be huge, man. I mean, the technology itself. I think it was one of the congressmen back in I think February or March when Congress was meeting over Bitcoin and blockchain technology in general. One of the congressmen said something to the effect of, blockchain has the potential to be as game changing as wireless was, right? And so I mean, just hearing that from a position of power, I think is massive for this space. I am overly bullish on cryptocurrency in general. At least in the technology that it provides. I think most of cryptocurrency is a scam. Just personal opinion. Just put my cards on the table. I think most of the stuff out there is a scam that it'll eventually die away. But I think the technology itself, the distributed ledger technology, I think is massive. And so overall, in the next decade, I'm pretty bullish on it. I mean, for some people, if they want to buy. Maybe it's not Bitcoin, maybe it's Ethereum, maybe it's Ethereum Classic. If they want to buy, a ton of those and just, never look at it again in 10 years, I think they would be profitable for sure.
Tron, bro. Tron.
Oh, John. Mr. Son. Yeah, just buy that. That's the next Bitcoin, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Financial
Bitcoin
advice.
2.0. Oh man. Yeah. Elaborate if you would on your thoughts that the majority of Bitcoin or the majority of cryptocurrency is a scam, because you hear that, but I don't think a lot of people really build out on that concept.
Right. So the same guy who got me into cryptocurrency in general, my brother, right? And he's not big into tech either, but he stumbled across it with some buddies himself, and he did so well in the Dragon Chain ICO that he primarily focuses on, okay, what's the next Dragon Chain ICO? What's the next 100x, 1000x from ICO price? And for me, while seeing that, there was a time when you could buy an ICO and it really didn't matter what it was, and you were guaranteed to make money on it. I think those days are long gone. And I think most of the ICOs that have already happened is because an ICO is different from an IPO in the sense that an ICO doesn't have to actually have anything with it. They just have to have an idea on paper, whether it's realistic or not, or it doesn't matter, that you're buying the idea that this group of people with this organization is going to do this particular thing. And I just think there's nothing there. There's nothing tangible, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that have bought into ICOs and that will buy into ICOs that people just run off of their money, or they put up a good facade of we have this great team, we're developing all these great things. But if you think about going back to the general idea of what cryptocurrency is, what blockchain distributed ledger technology is, most of the things that these companies are doing, most of these ICOs, they don't even need to be on a distributed network, right? It doesn't need to be on a distributed ledger. And so I think it's just silly, man. And I think a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money on it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the ICO versus IPO thing, because that's, I think, the biggest area of apprehension for retail investors when it comes to our space, because you don't get anything for what you're buying, right? You don't own a percentage of the company. And there's really no onus on the company to produce. If you're buying, let's say you are buying Amazon, you're buying a share of that company. You own a part of Amazon. Amazon is, they have a fiduciary responsibility. Yeah, they have a responsibility to show positive results, or else they risk a market decrease in their company's value. Whereas here, I mean, you buy whatever you want? You know what I mean?
You're giving the company the money up front, and they're not being held liable to deadlines on the roadmap. Because if you think about it, it depends, right? So XRP, that company has a legit reason to keep the price of XRP up, because they own 95% of the entire supply. So they have a vested interest on that price staying up. But most of these companies that don't hold very many of their own coin, once you've already paid them, then it doesn't really matter whether the price tanks or not, because they've already been paid.
Yeah. And that's, when you're considering that, it can be kind of scary, because there are projects that even still, there's projects that I'll speculate on, and at any time, any of those trades could go to absolute zero, because there's really nothing holding the CEO or the executive team liable for any losses, any damages, nothing. So, and I know there's been situations where people have basically invested in these ICOs, and then the website will go down, or you'll see pictures of the CEO hanging out on a beach, and it's sad for those people. There we go. Leo, welcome to the party.
I know. I've just been listening, man. He's an interesting guy. So
he is. It's captivating.
Yeah, he is. So no, I mean, you raised $30 million really quick, and you have,
or $4 billion,
or four. Well, I mean, that's when you might throw on a short, but I wouldn't know anything about that. No, but yeah, you raised that's actually crazy. That's a great point. $4 billion. I mean, if you're in charge there, you really got to sit down with the guys and talk about what the next plan is, because you have so much money. And for EOS, people were hating on them. They had so many issues upon release. You think that with $8 billion, they would have their things together. But I mean, with them, I believe that they're going to be able to pivot and hire all the people necessary to actually grow a network in business. But some of these companies that didn't really know that they were going to be able to raise as much money, and some of them don't even really know what they're doing still in terms of their business and what to do going forward with that money. So it's a pretty tricky thing right now, especially we saw that ICO buzz, especially after people had so much money and so many gains. They were just throwing money into every ICO. And I think it was something like, if you invested in every single ICO, you would have got a 11x.
It's crazy. Well, and obviously there's people who have made their entire living in this space off of rating, discussing investing in ICOs, like a certain gentleman who may or may not have had all of his taxable income stolen.
Shalina?
Yeah, something like that.
It's okay.
I hear he does world tours. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They'll find him, I'm sure. But I know this is completely off topic, but one of the scariest things, since you mentioned EOS, one of the scariest things for me is they hold so much Ethereum that they could absolutely destroy the price.
Who is that?
EOS.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
well, they're branded the Ethereum killer, right?
And they've got the bullet. You know,
why would they do that?
So.
Why Gosh.
I mean, right now, Ethereum's backed up against it anyway with their incredibly high transaction fees and slow times. I mean, we obviously there's got to be something that has to be done. I think they just announced that sharding isn't going to be available until 2020, and they didn't even say when. They just said 2020. So Ethereum's got a lot they got to get right pretty quick, because there's a lot of people working to take them down. And so, I mean, somebody's going to do it, right? They
have the money. I mean, they have the back. I mean, they have the money, like I said. So we'll see if they could allocate that money properly to get things moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, she's with regard to this space and all things being considered, you know, we always enjoy hearing the answers to this, but what's one thing you absolutely love about cryptocurrency?
So, one thing I love.
Nothing.
Hard about this.
The moons and the Lambos, bro.
The moons and the Lambos are dead, man. I think, well, at least for now. But for me, I think, and I think I enjoy what most people did during this last bull run, and that is the idea of, you know, you don't have to be an accredited investor to kind of buy into these things. You don't have, I mean, anybody can buy in.
That's a good point.
And again, you're not owning a company, which is why you're able to do that. But anybody can buy in. And honestly, people think that people outside of the space think it's complicated, but honestly, you know, the gateway into cryptocurrency is so easy to get into this space. It's so easy to own a Bitcoin or own an Ethereum and just forget about it. And I think, and the idea that it's new, and going back to the previous question of, you know, where do I see us in a decade? And one reason why I'm super bullish on the technology itself, not any coin, not any specific project, but just the idea that the technology itself is I work for a technology company in the healthcare industry. We're owned by quite, you know, one of the largest, you know, healthcare industries, healthcare companies in the industry. I'm not going to say their names now, but there have been, you know, calls, company-wide calls, and we're all around the world, this corporation. And one of the questions that have come up in the last quarters on these calls is what is the company doing about blockchain? How are we moving forward in this space? And so that is why I'm bullish on, you know, on the general thing and the general technology in general. So if there's one thing I love about cryptocurrency, it's this age-old problem of not having to trust a third party. That is the one thing. It's right. So when you put your money in a bank, you have to trust that bank isn't going to go under, and that if it does, you have to trust the government that they're going to cover the funds that was in that bank. With cryptocurrency, that you don't actually have to do that. You have to worry about whether the price tanks or not, but you don't have to worry about because it's a trustless system. And that's the number one thing I like about it.
It's kind of crazy that a trustless system is the most dependable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, everything's recorded on a ledger. It's public. Yep. So, you know, like with the government, there's so many unknowns. You know, we hear about all this debt our country's in and things like that. And it's like, well, let's bring out the spreadsheet. Let's try and figure this out.
Yeah.
Where you have Bitcoin in its system and everything is finite supply of it. It's part of it, you know.
The idea that it's completely open, and, you know, that scares away a lot of, you know, big companies as well, and again, you know, depending on the blockchain itself, you know, certain aspects of the data might be public, some of it might not be. But going back to that Congress meeting, they said if blockchain technology had been around and adopted back then, they said, if we would have known exactly like how over leveraged banks were in '08, and we could have prevented the entire collapse of the housing industry, because we would have known, right? We would have known exactly how much money is on these banks' books account, how much is leveraged, and it would have been preventable. Absolutely. So that's for me. That's the number one thing.
Is there any one thing that you would say, because you are a TA guy and you're so great at charting, is there a fundamental aspect that would make you extremely bullish or even more bullish?
So in short term or long term?
I'd say long term. I'd say whatever.
Yeah. So long term, a new high, right? So above 20K in Bitcoin price would be pretty bullish. The problem is in these markets, there's no straight line, right? There's no straight line up, straight line down. In the short term, if we get above the high that took us to this low, which is it's in the 6,900s there. If we can get some closes above that, that's when I'll start considering entering more fiat into the market, entering more things, because that would be the start of a good sign. It's hard to say, okay, at this particular point in time, we will or we won't be going up or going down, right? There's always, here's what we're looking at. If it does this, then, we'll feel more bullish, we'll feel more bearish. But it's hard to say, like, so as far as that's the charts. As far as fundamentals, I think, it's got to become easy. The common people have got to understand distributed ledger technology before it will ever become widely adopted, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point you make. We talked about that on the last episode. Accessibility to people, Coinbase to get on and use. And some people don't even know you could buy a fraction of a Bitcoin still. So just educating people more, I think, is a big step in the right direction.
Well, and that's, it's funny that you mentioned the ease of access and a complete understanding, because when I first logged in and started trading, that's why I bought Ethereum instead of Bitcoin, because my simple, uneducated to trading brain just thought that I could having more of something was better than having less of something. So I didn't understand that, whatever the Bitcoin equivalent of the Ethereum that I bought would actually have served me better than buying Ethereum at that time. But just the overall level of education, as that increases and as more people understand all of this, I think it's going to be absolutely huge.
I agree.
So, dude, that's one thing you love. What's one thing that you strongly dislike or hate about the space?
Probably Lambos and moons. Primarily because I used to be one of those guys. I used to, when I was only holding Dragon, I was like, win Binance, right? Because that's what gives you the pump. Win Bittrex when we get listed on these big exchanges.
Oof, if only Bittrex gave you a pump now.
Yeah, yeah, they might actually dump you. I don't know, man. For me, the people that are involved in cryptocurrencies, if we're going to be legitimate, if distributed ledger technology is going to be legitimate in the future, a viable option, I think the community itself has to be more intelligent about what they're talking about. For example, we all hate XRP, right? I'm just from a fundamentals perspective, simply because it's centralized technology. It's nothing's decentralized about it. The company owns 90% of the token supply, but yet you see this huge following of XRP, and XRP doesn't have one single use case. The Ripple network has a use case, but the XRP token itself is completely useless as far as I know. The last I read up on it. But I think, that's just, there's always going to be people that buy that. There's always going to be people that, XRP is the next Bitcoin. Can you imagine XRP being $10,000 per XRP? That would be,
Oh my!
There would be so much salt out there. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
But I think, people have got to know what they're talking about, because that's how it spreads. Is you get these guys that own Bitcoin for the technology, and then they tell their friends, and their friends tell their friends, and that's how it grows from the bottom up. Is people got to understand what exactly it is. They don't have to understand exact like mining and rigs and all of that, and how many CPUs do you need. They don't need to understand that, but I think in general they need to understand the fundamentals of what blockchain technology and distributed ledger technology actually is.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. Well, so one last question, and I think that this is probably for some people this may get a little deep, and it's intended to, right? We want this podcast to land with the newest person in the space. We want to add some value and give some insight and make sure that they're understanding that it's not just about speculating, trading, investing. It's not just about the charts and the numbers or your strategy, but it's about your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you day after day spending time looking at these charts? So you're a husband, you're a dad, you got a lot going on in your life, man. What's your why? What's the reason that you continue to do what you do on a day in, day out basis?
Absolutely, man. So you nailed it. I'm a husband, I'm a dad, and for me, this is, a second job almost. I go to work, I come home, and I look at this stuff to try to make more money. Honestly, that's it. I mean, I agree that technology is going to be a big thing in the future, but that's not why I do it today. I do it today so I can increase my USD, so I can provide for my kids, provide for my wife. And, I've learned a lot along the way, and I enjoy doing it. I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics. And so this is, numbers, charts, this stuff is just secondhand nature to me and always has been, since I was a little kid. So I do it for that. And then I also do it just because I enjoy it. For some people, looking at a chart is, like being in the middle of a nightmare. But, for me, I just really enjoy it. My wife thinks I'm weird for that.
So, Scheze, I know you're a Midwesterner. Are you a Buckeye? Did you go to OSU?
I didn't go to OSU. I went to a small state school in Southern Ohio, but I lived, slightly below Columbus now. I'm actually wearing an OSU shirt at the moment. I'm an OSU fan, even though I didn't go there.
Yeah, you're both Ohio guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah, man. I was born in Columbus, but yeah, I'm in Florida now, so no complaints there. But we can't, all of us can't be perfect. So at least one person in the conversation has to be from Michigan. So gotta be good, I guess. It's okay.
Hey, I live everywhere. Playing hockey, I've got to live all different cities, but hey, there's nothing like the Great Lakes in the summer, boys.
Dude, hey, you know what's crazy is the more people that I've talked to, crypto. I mean, I know a lot of it is built in California, and there's some pockets in New York, but there is a ton of crypto representation in the Midwest between Chicago and Detroit and Columbus. I mean, you've got Substratum in Columbus, but you've got so many crypto enthusiasts in those areas, and then Indiana being sandwiched in between. It's just there's so much going on there. It's awesome.
We're trying to get out, buddy. We're trying to get it.
Turning the Miami Valley into the Silicon Valley, huh?
Man, Detroit is on the come up. I'll tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dan Gilbert has revitalized downtown. Obviously, they opened up a WeWorks office, and Nike moved downtown. Woodward Avenue is looking great. They have the new Red Wings rink built downtown. Honestly, people would be surprised if they went downtown Detroit and looked around. Like it's on the come up, man. A lot of new tech startups. Quicken Loans is doing very well. Every single time I go down there to check it out, it's more buildings are up, more infrastructure, and hopefully some crypto companies going forward.
That's awesome. Yeah. At another time in my life, I used to build electric boats, and the majority of the battery tech in the United States that's being developed is all in Detroit. So it's definitely on the come up. But anyways, Scheze, dude, we're thankful that you were able to make the time to come on and join us for the show and
Hey,
let
I'm
people know a little bit about who you are.
Glad to be here. Appreciate you guys having me on.
For sure.
Thanks, Scheze.
You know, one thing I'd love to know, man, is there anything that you would like to add, any parting words that you'd care to share?
Just, don't 100x long the top and don't 100x long the bottom, and you should be good, man. Don't do what I did.
Wise words from your chartist.
That's awesome, man. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to go ahead and log off here. But everyone out there, do your own research. Obviously, what we have said here is not financial advice. None of us are financial advisors. We are all just a bunch of weirdos that are having a lot of fun in this space. You can find us all on Twitter. The Crypto Commission's handle is at Let's Talk Coin. You can find Mr. Scheze at Scheze. That's MSCHEZE. And Lambo Leo is at _Lambo_Leo. And I am at Bitcoin Broski. It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you both for jumping on here. And we will have some more episodes out for you all soon.
Awesome. Have a good one, guys.
All right, see you guys.